Hi, I'm Robin.
And I'm Chris. Together we're the Gen X couple.
Hey, guys.
Take one. Hello, everyone.
We were debating back and forth about some different ideas about what to talk about on podcasts because we don't want it to be all ghost, paranormal sort of stuff.
Disney.
Or Disney. I would talk about Disney. We should have just started that way and had our own Disney podcast.
Start another podcast as Disney.
Yeah, no, seriously, we should because we go enough. We actually have 4 more trips this year booked, and we'll be visiting Tokyo Disney too this year. But anyway, we were going back and forth with ideas, and Chris came up with the idea to talk about some movies that were filmed in Massachusetts. So we picked, obviously there were a lot more than we're going to include on our list, but we came up with some of the big ones. And we've got a pretty insane lineup. We've got some gritty crime dramas. We've got some supernatural comedies. Massachusetts has basically been hiding in plain sight when it comes to Hollywood films. I mean, for decades. It's one of those places where you drive past streets and landmarks every day and you think, wait, I've seen that in a movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Once you start paying attention, it's impossible not to notice. You're watching a scene and suddenly recognize the street, the bar, or even a Dunkin's in the background.
Obviously, the Dunkin's.
It's the state is playing a subtle starring role in Hollywood.
I'm getting that buzzer.
And the variety is variety is amazing. Urban streets, coastal towns, and historic villages, all in Massachusetts.
Yeah, exactly. The mix is perfect. In one afternoon, filmmakers can go from a city street scene in Boston to a charming historic village, or even a foggy little island that feels haunted. It's versatile, visually striking, and it gives film an authenticity. I almost pulled a Chris, but I didn't. And it's basically hard to fake. So we're going to talk about some of the real heavy hitters in the film industry. And the first one we're going to talk about is Black Mass.
A good movie.
I don't like movies like that, so I don't even know. There's only 1 movie or 2 movies on this list that I really liked, and we'll get to those. This one, I liked Johnny Depp. I like him as an actor, and I love the true story of Whitey Bulger. This was about Whitey Bulger, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But I don't know. I don't love the movie. Sorry. I don't like movies like that. So, but anyway, Black Mass. Like I said a second ago, it's about the real life mobster from Boston, from Southie, named Whitey Bulger. And I just said, of course, he was played by Johnny Depp, who is a phenomenal actor. And the movie was shot extensively in Boston and nearby towns to capture that claustrophobic feel of the 1970s and 80s in Boston. They didn't just film in South Boston. They shot in South Boston. Southie isn't the same as South Boston, right? South Boston's different than Southie?
I think Southie's more like a neighborhood, while South Boston's like a bigger area.
Yeah, well, either way, they shot in Southie and Charlestown, and it made local bars feel like you were walking along the streets alongside these guys walking into the bars.
Yeah, and the attention to detail is incredible. They just didn't use neighborhoods. They recreated the period accurate with cars, storefronts, and even infamous Boston winters.
Or infamous, even.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did, though. They did a really good job with the background on that movie.
And I love that they used locals to serve as extras. Mm-hmm. It gives the movie this lived-in authenticity. And we've actually taken a tour in Boston, a mafia tour in Boston. That's another story, but they did hit the highlights of where the local mafia hanged out and where people were killed. It was very interesting.
Was it interesting or was it terrifying? We should tell that story, but I'm just going to give you a quick summation. It was a terrible tour. Don't take this tour.
It was good.
No, it wasn't good.
I thought it was good information.
Was it? Because do you remember we took the tour and he's like, "Oh, you read the information I sent you, right?" And then he didn't talk about any mafia stuff. He mentioned Whitey Bulger a little bit, but that was like all he talked about. And he pushed his own agenda. We had seen the sign when we were walking through the North End, which is the Italian section of Boston, and we were like, "Oh, we should take that tour." Don't take that tour. I won't say the name of it. It was really bad, though. It was really, really bad. But anyway, back to Black Mass. Beyond the crime drama, you really get to see the architecture of Southie in Boston. You get to see the tight streets and the brick buildings and the waterfront warehouses, and they contribute to a sense of danger and isolation, which is literally what it looks like. And it's a film where the city itself feels like a character, shaping every interaction and decision that the character makes.
Yeah. The Black Mass was one of the most standout among crime films, in my opinion, and I loved it.
Yeah, I know you like crime films. I do not like crime films, and that's where we disagree. But I will say, I'm sure it was really good. Johnny Depp did a good job. He's a great actor. And now we're going to move on to a movie called The Town. And this movie stars an incredible actor, a phenomenal actor. Probably he should have 5,000 Oscars.
Her screensaver.
Yes, we're talking about the one, the only Jeremy Renner, who is, sorry, Chris, the most beautiful man on the face of the earth.
What about Donnie?
Yeah, Donnie Wahlberg is right up there, but I would take Jeremy Renner over Donnie Wahlberg any day. I have been in love with Jeremy Renner for so long. So he's in this movie, The Town. This is another movie I didn't love because I don't love these kind of dramas where it involves crime. I'm more of, actually, let me just say it. I don't like movies. I don't like watching movies. I don't like committing to a 2-hour movie. But this movie, Jeremy Renner did a phenomenal job. I mean, I don't know why he didn't win every Academy Award there was for this movie. But The Town was directed by Ben Affleck, who, of course, is from Massachusetts. And he also stars in this one. And it's set in Charlestown. And it's a Boston neighborhood that's historically associated with bank robberies. So filming in the actual neighborhood gives the movie a more no, you're rubbing off on me. Authentic energy. Like you can feel the weight of the history in the streets and buildings. Like it really does feel like that.
Yeah, the narrow streets, the local diners, the views of the harbor, they all make it believable. And you can tell that Affleck wanted Charlestown itself to be a character, and it totally works. And one of the things I love best about one of these movies is the accent. Because all these actors, they get the accent down perfectly. Well,
different movie, and we'll get to it. Yeah, we'll talk about when we get to the movie. But yeah, for the most part, yes. And I feel like they did a really good job with the cast of this movie. Of course, the love of my life, Jeremy Renner. It's also got Rebecca Hall in that movie. And I feel like the whole cast really inhabits the neighborhoods, like there are some Fenway Park sequences in that movie that are amazing too. And it's a scene where the tension is amplified simply by being in a real bustling location. That's what it's like. You feel like the city's alive around the character.
Yeah, and one of my favorite parts of the movie was the heist sequence and then using the city layout to make it feel chaotic but believable. The audience knows the streets exist, so the chase scenes hit differently because you're like, I just drove down that street. And it's a tense, exciting, distinct Boston. It was one of my favorite chase scenes.
Now we're going to talk about The Departed, which is, guess what? Another movie I didn't like. I don't like mob movies. I don't like crime movies. They're not my thing. I'm sure it was great.
You're such a girl.
Thank you. I was going to say give me a rom-com, but I don't like rom-coms either. I like 80s movies. That's where I'm at. I'm stuck in the Goonies and Ghostbusters, 16 Candles realm of movies, and I will take those movies any day. The Breakfast Club, I'll watch that 1,000 times, but I don't want to watch crime. But anyway, I know this was a popular movie. I'm sure it was great. Blah, blah, blah. It's another Boston crime classic, and this one I think is known more for its iconic cast. and also the way it uses the city. But Martin Scorsese captures the tension of the Irish mob and the police department and the streets and the alleys and the harbor areas, and it adds so much atmosphere in the background to the movie.
And the accents, again, for me, Mark Wahlberg hits the Boston accent so good in that movie.
Well, he's from here, so he should.
But he's so... he thinks...
He thinks?
Yeah, he gets it so good. And you got Leonardo DiCaprio, Matt Damon.
You met Leonardo DiCaprio.
I have.
Actually, oh my God.
You didn't talk about...
Oh my God. I know, I left that out. I didn't even think of that. We got to add that on at the end.
Okay.
We'll talk about that at the end. Oh my God, you guys.
Matt Damon are phenomenal as the mole and undercover cop.
He's also from the Boston area, so he should have the Boston accent.
And every corner of Boston feels dangerous, from Southie to State House. And I love how the filmmakers didn't shy away from recognizable streets. It makes the double lives feel real. And the characters are constantly navigating a city with its own pulse.
Yeah, that is true. I will give you that. And I feel like the city's weather adds to the mood too. In this movie and many others, there's a lot of rainy nights, especially in the fall and the spring. The gray skies, the Atlantic breeze, they all contribute to that tension. So Boston's neighborhoods really aren't just scenery. They heighten everything, every confrontation, betrayal, and chase.
Yeah, and the casting of Jack Nicholson as Frank Costello brings that mob energy to life.
Was this about real people? I forget. Or was this made up? I forget.
I kind of feel like it was based on Bulger, but it wasn't.
But it didn't say it?
It was, yeah.
Okay.
And it was a perfect combination of all the actors and the locations, and it makes Departed still feel immersed today.
Yeah. So now we're going to talk about Good Will Hunting. And again, you've got Matt Damon and Ben Affleck who are in this movie. I didn't love this movie. Sorry, still not my thing. They do have the Boston accents. Remember I said a little while ago somebody didn't have a great Boston accent? And I love Robin Williams so much. I love him. He's such a good actor. Was such a good actor, Mrs. Doubtfire. But he blew it on the Boston accent in this movie. I'm sorry. It wasn't believable at all. But anyway, there's my 2 cents.
And this story makes you feel just as alive because of the locations. The Will Hunting is a janitor at MIT. They filmed at MIT. He's hiding his genius. And then he meets Robin Williams' character, a therapist. And they have iconic bench scenes which are set right in the Boston Public Garden. And it's a perfect backdrop for the movie.
Yeah, we've probably walked by that bench a million times. I don't even know because I only saw that movie once back in the day. But what I love the most about this movie is that the filmmakers used locals as extras, which they do in a lot of movies, but I love that. And I think that adds texture to the scenes, You can feel the difference between Harvard Square's bustle and South Boston's working class neighborhoods. It mirrors Will's journey between his worlds. And yeah, I think that's part of why it resonates so much because they made it authentic. Like, you know how you'll watch an episode of Law and Order, SVU, and I'll be like, there's no way that there's only 2 people on this sidewalk. That is the most unrealistic thing in the history of television. Yes. You can't walk through Manhattan without being crowds. You get huge crowds, you get bumped into. It's so unrealistic in some of those shows, but they kept it real in Boston because we're real.
Yes. Yeah, it's the film's timeliness comes partly from these streets exist and it feels real, lived in, and intimate.
Yeah, for sure. Now a movie that I did like. So I think I saved the best for last. And actually, this movie terrified me when I was a kid. And we're talking about a shark attack off Martha's Vineyard, or back in the movie, it was Amity. And of course, we're talking about Jaws. And I think everybody knows this movie, and now with technology and whatever they call it, AI, I think they can make fake stuff. But this movie was terrifying back in the day. I had seen it sometime in the 80s, and it was scary. But this movie was filmed on Martha's Vineyard, which is one of the islands off of Cape Cod, or as we call it, the Cape. And the locals for this movie were fully involved. There was even a rumor. What was it?
Yeah, a lady who disappeared was in the movie.
Yeah, I forget. She was called the Lady of the Dunes, and they had found her dead down in Provincetown. They did identify her later. She was not an extra in the movie, but that was a rumor going around for a while. And the locals were involved. They lent their boats. They were extras in the movie, and they even had to deal with a mechanical shark that didn't always work properly.
In full disclosure, I've never seen the movie.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
Oh, well, you can. I'll watch it with you,
No,
but I'll be on my phone half the time.
It sounds scary.
It is scary, but when you think about it, it's like 1970s scary, so it's not that scary.
So Spielberg couldn't show the shark all the time, so he had to rely on music, splashing water, and reactions to build tension.
He did an amazing job with that movie. Honestly.
I'll take your word.
No, he did.
The isolated beaches, docks, and small-town streets of Martha's Vineyard created a sense of vulnerability that's perfect for this film.
It was perfect. You know the theme song, the Jaws theme song, that has lived on in infamy. I think even kids today know the Jaws theme song. And you can even imagine walking past those streets today and thinking, that's where the shark was attacked. Remember, we did a tour of Martha's Vineyard and we drove by some of the filming locations, like the bridge and whatnot. And I feel like that movie helped the island become a tourist spot almost overnight. And that filming definitely left a permanent mark on the local culture out there. And plus, they have amazing views out on Martha's Vineyard. So it's kind of like this cool mix of beauty and terror. So it really is the perfect setting for a thriller.
Yeah, and John Williams scored paired with those locations, perfectly iconic. Yep. The tension builds with needing to show the shark, and the real world setting grounds the horror in a way that a studio lot can never. Yeah. Martha's Vineyard basically became a star in this movie.
Yeah, it did, for sure. Even though they didn't call it Martha's Vineyard, it was called Amity Island. They called it something else. They didn't call it Martha's Vineyard. But everybody around here knows it was Martha's Vineyard. And yeah, John Williams, he was a famous composer back in the 80s, 90s. I don't even know if he's still alive. I probably should have checked. But he did the score. And he's responsible for that Jaws theme that we all know. Like, everybody knows the Jaws theme. And now we're going to talk about an amazing movie. A movie that I love and have seen a million times and will probably see a million more. It was filmed right in Salem, Massachusetts. It's called Hocus Pocus! The Three Sisters. They're witches. If you haven't seen the movie, you're missing out. It was primarily filmed in Salem, but a little bit of it was filmed in Marblehead. And those locations are kind of almost a character themselves. If you've never been to Salem, you're missing out. It is an experience, especially at Halloween time. I can't even describe. It's like electric. It's magic up there. We love it. So you're walking through the streets in Salem or Marblehead, but mostly Salem, and you can almost picture the Sanderson sisters plotting their mischief. Every corner of Salem feels steeped in the town's witch trial history, and I feel like that amplifies the Halloween vibes. And in fact, if you walk around long enough, you will find the Sanderson sisters, because there's three girls or ladies or women, I'm not sure how old they are, that dress up like the Sanderson sisters, and you can give them a couple of bucks and take your picture with them at Halloween time in Salem.
Yeah, it's always great that they didn't have to overdo it either.
Actually, pause. There were three men dressed up like the Sanderson sisters last year. I think I have my picture with them. Do you remember? Or maybe it was the year before. Anyway, sorry. Carry on.
So the scene is where the sisters are racing through the streets, and even without special effects, you could feel anything could happen around the next corner. And the Salem residents fully embrace it every October.
Yeah, they do.
There's so many decorations to look at. The booths in downtown Salem.
It's the best.
Even the fire trucks and the police cars have a little witch.
They do.
Etched on the side of the truck.
I wonder if I have a picture. I feel like I might have a picture of one of the fire trucks. If not, I definitely have a few pictures of filming locations. I have the house where Danny and what's the kid's name? I can't remember. Max lived, and I have the town hall. I have some pictures. I'll have to be better about Instagram. I'll share them on Instagram. And the thing I love about this movie, especially, is that there are just little details that make the movie feel more lived in. You know what I mean? Like, you can see the shop windows, you can see the town square, and there's even street signs. They chose the locations so well that it feels like a real breathing town instead of a movie set. And it's also fun imagining the cast running through the streets while locals looked on, probably thinking, this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen in Salem. But I don't know, because we've seen some really weird things in Salem.
We have. Yeah, the costume, the props, to make the town come alive at night, the fog, the shadows, the street lamps, it all adds to that playful creepiness.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds that Massachusetts towns, especially historic ones like Salem, Marblehead, can give fantasy films a sense of place that's hard to replicate anywhere else.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those locations that just carries all the charm. Actually, the second Hocus Pocus was filmed largely in Rhode Island. It was filmed in Newport. They built a set on that little square, like where the hanging tree is. But the first one was filmed mostly in Salem. And honestly, don't just watch the movie, you guys. Go visit Salem. We cannot recommend it enough. The magic is real. The people who made this movie didn't even have to fabricate anything because it's just naturally there. And now we're going to talk about another movie. I don't know why I didn't put this higher, because this falls under the list. Actually, I've never seen it, but
I've never seen it
I
either.
know I won't like it, so I'm not even going to watch it. Don't even ask me, because the answer is no. But I know enough about it. So I added it, because I know it's a big hit. This one also, I think, had, what's his face?
Leonardo.
Yeah, thank you. Who you met. We're going to talk about your movie after, because I think this is the last movie I wrote down. So this movie was kind of dark and moody, and much of this movie was filmed in Massachusetts, including the Medfield State Hospital, which is a seriously imposing location. It's made of several brick buildings. It's got long corridors, foggy grounds, and they give it that eerie, unsettling vibe that's perfect for a psychological thriller.
So Leonardo DiCaprio plays a U.S. Marshal investigating a disappearance at this isolated psychiatric facility. The sense of isolation is enhanced because these locations are real. They're cold, imposing, and feel a little sinister. You can almost feel the wind coming off the Atlantic and hear the waves crashing in the background.
Yeah.
It's an immerse in a way that a studio lot can never be.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. And in this movie, the filmmakers were clever with angles, lighting, and natural fog that made the whole island feel even more claustrophobic and ominous. Every shot makes you question what's real and what's imagined, and that's perfect for that kind of a story. And plus, even the architecture, the long hallways and the old brickwork give it a feeling of a place where there's something hiding around every corner.
And the little details make a big difference also. The surrounding forest.
Oh, crap, I do have one more movie.
The rocky shoreline, the stormy weather, they all contribute to the tension. The audience doesn't just follow DiCaprio's character.
DiCaprio?
They experience isolation and paranoia themselves. And that's why Massachusetts landscapes work so well here.
Yeah, it is also fun to note that fans of the film often visit Medfield just to see the location. And walking through it gives you a new appreciation for how much the setting shapes the story. Massachusetts locations aren't just backdrops, they actively enhance the narration tension. So, yeah, we do have one more movie, and then we'll talk about Chris's big film debut. Again, another movie that I've never seen, won't see. We lived through this, so we know the story.
I haven't seen it.
It's called Patriots Day, and it's about the Boston Marathon bombings and the investigation that followed. We were actually, when it happened, we were in San Diego.
We were on the plane, I think.
We were heading to the airport. It was like right before we were packing up, and we heard about it as we were like packing and getting ready to head home to the airport. Like we were heading home that day, but we were in San Diego when it happened because nobody knew what was happening. It was like,
yeah,
it was like smaller, but it was almost like 9/11 reminiscent of September 11th because we were like, oh my God, what's happening? And we had no idea. We weren't sure what we were going to come home to, but the film is based on the Boston Marathon bombing and the investigation. But what sets this movie apart are that many of the scenes were filmed in the actual neighborhoods where the events took place, including downtown Boston and parts of Cambridge. And I think the use of real locations is what adds a serious and even a more emotional realism that's hard to capture on a fake set in Hollywood.
Yeah, and the film just doesn't tell a story. It honors the resilience of Boston's community.
Yeah.
You see first responders, investigators, and citizens in authentic surroundings, which amplifies the impact.
Yeah, it does.
The streets, the neighborhoods, and the landmarks, they make the story feel grounded, and the tension feels immediate because it's real.
Yeah, and the filmmakers captured details that locals immediately recognized. the marathon finish line, the streets near the Boston Public Library, and the specific layout of the city streets. These aren't just generic urban locations. They're places that people from here know intimately, and that gives the story even more weight.
Yeah, and the film did a great job of balancing the procedure side of the investigation with the human stories of the runners and bystanders, and filming in Massachusetts reinforced the emotional connection because it's authentic. You can feel the heartbreak and heroism much stronger when the streets are watching are real.
Yeah, exactly. Massachusetts in this movie isn't just a scenic backdrop. It's a witness, and it's a participant, and it's a character in the story. And it shows how versatile the state and our residents really are. So now I think we should take a minute to have Christian talk about his film debut.
Okay, so the name of the film is Don't Look Up, and it's on Netflix.
Let me say that I normally wouldn't have watched it if Chris was in it, because that would fall under the list of things I don't like. I don't like, what are those movies called? Like disaster movies?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like those. So it was during COVID. Because you filmed during COVID, so you can talk about that. And then it came out during COVID, and that was a time when movie theaters weren't open. So it was straight to Netflix.
So I had to submit an application, headshot, and then I went in for a costume fitting.
Well, they were looking for
firefighters.
Yeah.
And I played a part as a firefighter.
Which you were a firefighter, so it was perfect.
Yes. And it was filmed in Boston. And if you want to see me, if you go to the movie, watch the movie, and pause it at 1 hour, 16 minutes, 44 seconds, I am that firefighter walking down the street.
That's actually a good shot of you. He's showing it to me right now, because you were used in a promotional ad.
Yeah, and I was also used in a promotional ad where I walked right by Leonardo DiCaprio. Within inches of him,
Which you did not get paid anything extra for.
No. And I walked by him probably a couple dozen times. If you don't know, each movie shot, they refilm it probably a couple dozen times and retake it and refilm it. Each shot, it was kind of boring just to do the same walk 20 times, but it was a great experience. We filmed right in Boston.
Who else was in it besides Leonardo DiCaprio? I can't think of that chick's name.
Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh, no. Is that her name?
Yeah. Isn't it? The girl from Hunger Games?
Yeah, the girl from Hunger Games.
She was in it.
Jonah Hill was in it.
Jonah Hill, but I didn't get to see him.
He had a small part.
I just saw Leonardo and Jennifer.
They were the big names in that movie.
But it was,
wait, wasn't Meryl Streep? Meryl Streep
she was
in it.
too, but I didn't.
I love Meryl Streep.
I just met Leonardo and Jennifer.
Okay. Well, that's pretty cool. And tell them about the snack truck. That was the most interesting.
That was the best part.
Oh, do you remember? Because it was during COVID. You had to take COVID tests before you could film.
I had to take like 3 COVID tests right the day before, that morning, and right before it's shooting. But the best part was this snack truck. Think of an 18-foot wheeler truck, tractor trailer, and it's just filled with snacks. And you can go in there and take whatever you want and eat whatever you want.
That is my dream come true.
I was loading up my pockets.
That was really cool because you were gone. You had to do it, I think, over 2 or 3 different days.
Yeah.
I know you had
to
go
at night too
for filming. Yeah. You had to go for fitting, and that was like a separate thing, I think. And then you had to do 2 filming days, or was it one filming day?
One.
But I think there was at least 2 days or 3 days that you had to go, and it was like all day. You were gone like all day.
Yeah.
And
I took time off from work and
that was cool though, because when else are you going to get an experience like that?
Yeah, go watch that movie.
Yeah,
pause
go watch
it.
that
1
movie.
hour, 16 minutes, 44 seconds, and you'll see me.
Yes, actually, I was going to post. What was I going to post? I forget already what I said, but I'll post the promotional ad in our Instagram when this comes out, which is now it's. I forget. It's March 15th. I think it's going to come out at the end of this month or maybe at the beginning of April, but I'll post the promotional picture. Do you still have it?
Yes.
Can you text it? I have it, but if you text it to me, it'll be on the bottom of my camera roll.
Okay.
And that's it, you guys. This was a long one. I'm so sorry. I just looked at the time. We're at like 29 minutes. So we will wrap it up. I think if you notice any of your Dunkin' Donuts in the background. Congratulations. And keep your eyes peeled, because actually Chris is in Boston all the time, and he sees movies being filmed all the time, don't you? Because when you walk from he works in the government building, and he walks to South Station, so there's always movies being filmed here. So yeah, keep an eye out for your Dunkin' Donuts. You never know, might show up in a movie.
And that'll do it for us.
Yes.
So see you later, alligator.
And a wild crocodile.